wanted to mention to you is like, how many of you find your life feeling stressful? And what creates stress for us? It's the meanings we give things. So much of life has been made about us. Social media makes us think about us. We're always trying to project ourselves, be a certain way. And that creates an internal pressure that we can't match because life isn't the way you see in social media. I'm sure you've seen many people that are so depressed because they live in social media. And so one of the things people ask me is, what does it take to be happy? And the first answer I always give is progress. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you achieve, what you earn. You're not going to be happy if you don't keep growing. Growth is life. You grow or you what? You die, right? And what most of us don't realize is, in this world that's constantly trying to think about ourselves, is what makes people feel alive is having a meaning beyond yourself. Joy is in the spirit. And when your spirit is aligned, that's because you're doing something beyond yourself. You have a meaning. When you think just about yourself, the human mind, it's 2 million years old, this brain. And it's always looking for what's wrong, what could go wrong, what could avoid. But the minute you stop thinking about yourself, we enter the realm of our spirit. Everybody should have something that they care about. Now, I'm sure you do that with your children. How many of you do more for your kids than yourself? No BS, right? Somebody who does something for themselves, buys something, does something, they experience a certain amount of pleasure. And it has a very short fuse of time. Like, if you achieve some great goal, think of a great goal that you've had in your life, something you achieved. How'd you feel when you achieved it? Pretty amazing, right? But for how long did you feel good? For 5 years? For a year? For 6 months after that great achievement? For 3 weeks? For 3 days? For 3 hours? Most people are somewhere between 3 hours and 3 weeks max. And the reason is we're meant to keep growing, but we're meant to grow so we give something. My life was changed when I literally had nothing. And I went to this, I literally had no money left. I couldn't pay my rent. I was living in a place called Venice, California, and feeling sorry for myself. And no money, and trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I had about, I don't know, $21 and some change left over. And so I left my car because I didn't want to pay for parking. I walked to this all-you-could-eat place about 3 miles away that was on the water in a place called Marina del Rey. I figured I'll inspire myself and be there. And I'll never forget, I went in, and I'm going to eat as much food as I possibly can to load up for the winter. And this little boy walks in, and he held the door for his mom, and he held out the seat for her, and they sat down, and they had this incredible conversation. In the middle of my survival eating, I couldn't help but be moved by this. I don't know what it was, maybe triggered something in my own past, I don't know what, but I was really moved. And so I went and paid what was $5.95, and I have whatever, $13, $14, $15 in change in my pocket. And on the way out, I stopped to introduce myself to this little boy. And I said, hi, I'm Tony. My name's Charles. I said, Charles, I said, I'm really impressed with you. I said, see how I held the door for your lady? I see you held out her chair. I see you looking deep and being present with her. And I said, that's amazing. Well, she's my mom. And I said, that's even more impressive. You've taken her lunch like this. And he goes, well, I'm 7. I don't have a job yet. And I had no plan whatsoever. All I did was, in the moment, I just instantly reached in my pocket. I didn't even look at the lady. I took all the money I had left in my life, and I put it on the table in front of him. And I said, yes, you are taking her to lunch. And he looked at me, and his eyes like garbage can covers, big like this. And he said, I can't do that. And I said, yes, you can. He goes, how come? I said, because I'm bigger than you are. Right? And I didn't look at the lady, I didn't for that. And I walked out that door, and then my car wasn't there, right? I didn't realize I'm skipping 3 miles home like a child. I was filled with so much joy. I should have been going, what the hell's going on? I don't know what I'm going to eat tomorrow. I can't pay for anything, right? But what happened for me that day is I woke up the next day, and I got the snail mail in those days. I'm that old. There was no internet then. And I got all these bills, and I opened this note. It was from a guy I loaned $1,000 to about 5 months before when I had some money, and I'd been calling him. I needed it to survive. He sent me a check back, said, I'm so sorry, and he gave me interest. In those days, that was enough for me to more than survive for a month. And I was crying my eyes out, and I thought, why did this happen? It happened because I did what was right. I didn't do it for stars on my chart. I didn't do it to tell somebody. I just did it because it's right. So I invite you, find something that you can do that's beyond yourself, something little. You can be contributing to the trafficking issue. That's obviously a huge one for me.
I found it's something really interesting is that people that have typically gone to really good schools and done really well grade-wise, they're used to getting A's on everything, have a much harder time taking risk because they look at something that has a low probability of success and say, well, why would I do that? I'm used to getting A's and that's 95%. So why would I do something that has 20%? Well, because the outcome is 200x or 500x. That's why you do it. But a lot of people just can't get comfortable with that. I think that's the difference between an entrepreneur and not. Somebody who's comfortable with a low probability of success with a huge outcome. And then you go after it and you're okay failing. I failed so many times as a kid, whether it be academically or otherwise, that I was so comfortable with failing that it was not even a concept. It just meant that combined with just being chill generally about things not working out. The combination of that allowed me to like freely just take risk without any regard for like maybe failing.
I love the story that you have about applying to college and the non-zero probability. I thought that was really, really a powerful story.
Yeah.
Walk us through that.
Okay, yeah, so, I didn't have good grades in high school. I really didn't. This is funny, I tell people this and nobody believes this story, but it was sophomore year in high school. I remember walking down sort of the corridor and somebody's like, hey, where are you gonna go to college, or what are you thinking about? I said, oh, I'm probably just gonna go to Harvard. And they said, Harvard? Like, you're not gonna get in Harvard. And I was like, what do you mean? Don't you just like kind of send your thing in and pay and go? Like, no, you have to actually apply and they have to accept you. That was sophomore year in high school is when I learned that, which is crazy these days because I've been talking to my daughters since they were like, this yay big about college. So I didn't really know. So I wasn't applying myself in school, didn't have good grades. And my dad had asked me, I did all the applying myself, went to the colleges myself, parents didn't know what was going on. And then after the deadline, this is like in January, February, the deadline was like, November, December, applying to college. And my dad said, hey, how's it going? How's the college stuff coming? Where are you going to apply? I said, oh, I already did. I applied. I'm done. He's like, oh, you applied already? What did you apply to Wharton? Because he knew that I knew that was, I talked about that business school and I wanted to do business and stuff. I'm like, oh no, I didn't apply to Wharton. There's no way I could have gotten in. And he said, oh really? There's no way you could have gotten in. Zero. It's zero. And I said, well, I don't know if it's zero. It's pretty close to zero though. And I said, there's a lot of essays and all this stuff. He's like, oh, so it's work. You didn't want to do the work. I said, no, I'm fine to do the work. It's basically, my guidance counselor told me I can't get in. Objectively, I don't think I can get in. So, I didn't apply. And he's like, all right. And he was looking at me and I'm like, all right, you're right, Dad. I'm going to apply, And this was after the deadline. So this is like 2 months later. I went, did all the essays, did the whole application, did everything, sent it in. I'll never forget. It was like May when you sort of got the letter. I went out to the mailbox. I saw it. It said, Wharton School. I ran in. I opened it up. Yeah, I got rejected. But it really taught me a great lesson because when I was opening that envelope, it really felt non-zero to me. Even though it was like I had no chance of getting in and it was after the fact, and it probably was as close to zero as anything could possibly get, but I just felt like happy that I went through the process. Nothing had changed. It was still the same probability, but I was really happy I went through the process and took a shot, and I had in at bat. That letter, that chance, there's a possibility it could have said accepted, although it's as close as zero. And so I've just taken that in life in general. It's like, I'm not going to accept that it can't be done unless somebody proves it's a zero probability. And often the case, you can't prove it's zero. There's always some non-zero probability. And it's typically the stuff that's really close to non-zero, nobody else is touching. That's where the big opportunities are.
You're not a bad person if you're like, it's just not worth the energy. Fine. Know what the realities are. It's going to shorten your life. Whatever emotional problems you have over looking that way, the inflammation doesn't feel good, all of that. But you're not a bad person. And if you want to go in this direction, well, then it's like, let's celebrate what that's about, right? Let's know our why. Let's know what we're going for. And if it's to look really good in a fucking pair of skinny jeans, then let's own it. Let's look really good in those skinny jeans. Don't let people tell you that you have to be doing it because you want to be healthy. I love some healthy. But man, whatever really motivates you, whatever's really true, whatever actually gets you excited, don't let people shame you into thinking you have to do it for, some specific reason. Because let me tell you, the vast majority of pounds that have ever been lost all throughout human history is about looking good in skinny jeans. That's just the reality. So, but that doesn't make you a better person. This doesn't make you a worse person. Over here, you're less healthy. It's going to have its consequences. And over here, it's going to be harder. You're going to have to stay focused. You're going to have to keep pushing through. So decide what it is you want to do and get fucking amped about it. And if you can't get amped about it, focus on that. You got to focus on the motivation. You've got to get yourself in a position where you want the change. But don't spend cycles lashing yourself, hating yourself. I can think of nothing worse. The only thing that makes me sad is when somebody's overweight, eating ice cream by themselves in the corner of the Cold Stone, crying, right? That's fucking heartbreaking. An overweight person enjoying ice cream like it was their last fucking meal, good on you. The person over here that never touches ice cream, man, because they're going hard. They know what they want. They're amped. They want to live forever. They want to feel good. They want to look good. They want to be strong. I get that. Put time and energy into it. They're choices. No matter how hard something is, you've got a choice. And so I always come back to that one simple phrase. Now what? I'm in this situation. Let me tell you, Tom Bilyeu has a very easy time putting on fat and a very hard time getting lean. Now what? You going to work harder and get the six-pack abs or not? And that's it. All right. I know you can do this. You got this. I'm cheering for you. But ultimately, as much as I wish I could want it for people, I cannot. You've got to want this for yourself. You have to take responsibility and know that you can get whatever you want. Whole food. That's it. You do that, be a life changer. All right, guys, I'm telling you, you are but one habit, one killer routine away from having the exact life that you want. Your life is a reflection of the choices that you make.
Think about how your decision is going to make you feel the next day and watch what happens. The foundation of that is your daily habits. It's creating winning habits, winning routines, and a winning mindset. That's the formula. It's all about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that is what gives you freedom.
You guys are entitled to what you're entitled to is an opportunity to show up and be your best. You're running out of the most valuable asset, and why wait another moment not to? Who knows how much more time you have? If you have an audition coming up, or a test, or an exam, that's your name. That's the best you are right now. Make it the best you are right now. I don't care what it is. I don't care how difficult it is. Listen, you better put some strength in your back. Plant your feet and stand up. Don't you dare sit down. Don't you dare crumble under the weight of it. Don't you dare give in because of the nature of it. Don't you dare go home and raise the white flag of surrender, because
at the end of that journey, you will be a fundamentally different person. In fact, that is the point, my friends, of going on a journey. The journey is never the point. The point is always. The point is always self-transformation.
But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me.
You have these dreams. Dreams without goals remain dreams. Dreams without goals. Yearly goals, life goals, daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals, minute by minute goals. Dreams without goals are just dreams.